Hello, listeners, and welcome to the latest episode of the AdQuick Madvertising Podcast, a podcast that explores the intersection of content, creativity, marketing, all of the things that you care about. Today, we have a special guest. We have Karl Newlin. He's a B2B growth veteran with 12 years of experience and over 100 million in ad spend managed across some of the most well-known names in tech: Upwork, Gusto, Carta, Stripe, and Mutiny. Karl cut his teeth building inbound growth engines at these companies before going fractional, where he now works across a portfolio of early and growth stage B2B startups as fractional head of growth. He's also building Ampy, a product focused on helping B2B teams solve distribution. Karl's real obsession is how B2B companies get known, not just people, but actually stick in the minds of buyers before they even enter the pipeline. Karl, let me know if I got any of that wrong, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Adam. This is my first podcast, so yeah, excited to dive in. And no, you got everything right. My career spanned. I've been focused on building inbound engines and just figuring out how to bring awareness to the market, along with that consideration as well, and then engagement and further down the funnel. So
awesome.
That's where my focus has been.
Yeah, well, I wrote a bunch of questions, but I'm going to start with, a lot of marketers aren't classically inbound marketers, right? They get money, they run ads, they build big brand campaigns. So do you want to share some of the pillars of how maybe a traditionally trained marketer should think about inbound marketing in the modern web?
Yeah, I think kind of the first thing to think about is, where is the user? And where they're either solution aware, they're problem aware. And if they have some kind of intent, they're looking for those solutions as well. They're looking for solutions. So I like to think about, where's the user at in their mind. So if they're on a social network, for example, they're maybe not thinking about the problem. They're not contextually aware about that. So what I like to do is, I like to see where those opportunities are for folks that are aware of the problem and solution, and they're actually looking for solutions. So that's kind of the first place that I start with. So just thinking about, where is that user in their mind? Are they problem aware? Are they solution aware? And then, where can I find them if they are? And that's where you're going to find your highest intent users. And my work focus too has been focused on going from 0 to 1, and then 1 to 10. When I'm going 0 to 1, you want to prove out your business value prop. You want to make sure people understand. You're clearly communicating what your value prop is, and you can capture the attention of the people that are actually looking for a solution today. So that's generally kind of the first place that I think about, and then start, and then move my way further up the funnel, and I already have all of the insight, and understanding how to position my value prop, how to sell my value prop, and get folks engaged at that level. So that's kind of how I think about folks, is that intent funnel, and where those placements are, and where can I go in and capture that user's attention.
Awesome. And speaking of placements, you talk a lot about owning the entire placement.
Right.
Do you want to walk me through what that actually means, and why most marketers only focus on owning half of the equation?
Yeah. So when I was at Gusto, my role was to figure out, how do we get more payroll customers? And my first thought was, let's go to Google search. People are searching for payroll services. Put an ad right there, and we can be right in front of the folks that are looking for services, and let them know Gusto's a great service, modern, and we have a much simplified process than anybody else in the market. So we had our ad there, we were running it, it was successful, and I just started to look at, I would literally Google payroll services and look at that placement and see us top, and I started thinking, like, there's all these other placements there. Yes, there's organic, but within organic, when you Google payroll services, you'll see review websites, you'll see affiliates, you'll see other brands. So there's more placements than just there's more placements there to own than just your own link there. So really, that's what helped me to start thinking about owning that entire service, and that's what we were able to do, and capture a lot of those bottom of the funnel of folks there. Back then, it was search was the primary channel, so that was that placement that we wanted to own. But today, that also includes LLM results as well. So kind of look at, even though the landscape and the dynamics change, the high intent is somewhere. It's somewhere, and you can always get in front of them. ChatGPT just rolled out ads, so now you can get in front of high intent users with ads. They're working. I'm sure their product's going to improve over time, and they're going to get much more sophisticated. They're just early stages. And then in ChatGPT, you can also you can figure out how to improve your LLM discovery and get on those kind of that organic answer and get cited there. You can get cited via your own site. You can get cited via partner sites. So again, it's the same kind of process of owning the surface, but across different ways that folks get their answers and do discovery.
Yeah, totally. And so you also have a strong point of view on good content doesn't spread on its own, and I think most marketers know that. So, but what do you think actually makes distribution work? And that's like the part that the teams are skipping, so that their content actually does get served in an LLM, does get served in a SERP, does get shared on social. Like, what are marketing teams typically missing?
I think it all starts with your audience first. Who are you? Who are you trying? Who are you trying to target with this content? Who's the audience that you want to go after? And then thinking about where are they? Again, thinking about that surface. Where are they? And then when you're thinking about that surface, think about which piece of that surface you want to try to own. If it's organic, or if it's a organic piece of content, then you wanna really focus in on and figure out what is the objective of that piece of content. I see a lot of companies, they're just putting out content with no rhyme or rhythm or purpose to it, and I'll go into businesses and I'll see that they're looking at their Google Analytics traffic, and it's just going up and to the right, and it's just like, what kind of who are you getting? The content that you're getting or the traffic that you're getting is not even relevant to your buyer. So I see that quite a bit. So I think for me, it really starts with thinking about what's the objective of that content? What are you trying to do with it? Who are you trying to put in front of it? Really taking more of a strategic and tactical approach. And then figuring out what are the tactical things that'll help you actually meet your objective of getting placed, on the top result on Google or getting into LLMs. So I think for me, it's kind of taking that framework approach versus kind of going spray and pray and kind of going broad in that sense.
So, Karl, you said something interesting, and this is actually a question I took when I was reading your material. You think in terms of surfaces rather than channels, which is a really interesting way of saying it. Do you want to explain that mental model and how it changes the way someone builds a GTM strategy?
Yeah, I think so. That is the surface to me is where is that user? What's their intent? You want to get on that entire surface. You want to have coverage across that entire intent. You want to have coverage on each channel where that intent is happening, and you want to have coverage for that intent across all the placements that you can. You want to control that entire surface where that user is making a decision to purchase something. That's kind of at the very high level of how I think about it and how I like to approach it, and that gives you the best chance to succeed. Because again, if you know who your audience is, and the value prop that gets them to engage and is valuable to them, and if you're there, you should be able to sell to them your product. You should be able to get them engaged. It's funny. A lot of times people ask me too, like, what's would have been like a failure of something in my career. And it's so hard to say because it's like you just got to keep working at it. There's always room for improvement on getting more coverage in that surface. So it's never a loss. You just got to keep working at it. The only place where it becomes a loss if it was a wrong, if it, for me, it's been if it hasn't delivered enough volume generally. The loss doesn't happen because you learn early on you're going up the wrong path. Then you pivot your approach. For example, if you think there's a certain segment or market that you want to go after, and you're not seeing early success with folks coming to your site and engaging with you, there's some kind of a mismatch. It's either the audience or the value prop that you're putting in front of them. And if your value prop is mature and it's been proven, then it's the audience side. And if the sooner you can learn that, the sooner you can kind of course correct.
Sure. And so, when you started to get into the notion of when pipeline might stall, and so if it stalls in a specific place, where do you see that typically? Is it different everywhere? And what do you do about that if you notice that your pipeline is stalling at a certain point in the process?
So that's for me when it comes down to is thinking about that awareness, consideration, engagement, purchase cycle. And depending on what you're selling, that can happen if it's a consumer product, that can happen within minutes, right? We've all kind of made direct purchases out of the blue. On the business side, that can take weeks, months, quarters, even years, depending on who you're targeting and what kind of sales cycle that is. So as the sales cycle gets longer and longer, that middle part of the funnel, it's very important to make sure folks are, they're still aware of you, they're still considering you. Maybe the timing isn't right. Maybe the quarter isn't right because there's other priorities. Maybe they can see something coming down the line, but they're not ready to kind of engage yet. So that's where it becomes very important to continue to be top of market to those folks or top of mind to those folks that are still in that phase, and not that's the most important phase. That's where you want to be for them. And how I like to think about approaching those folks is how I like to think about it is how do we get in front of them? Traditionally, most folks think about email. We'll continue emailing them. We'll set up nurtures. But as we all know, email is, it's getting less effective. We all, my personal email, I get hundreds of emails a day. So I'm missing a lot of stuff. So email it becomes you got to capture somebody when they're in the right, it's very difficult to get them at that right point in mind where they're actually going to do what you're asking for them in the email as well. There's just a lot of friction to it. So I think you got to start thinking about other channels on how to stay top of mind too. For B2B and those longer sales cycles, I think ad distribution, being in front of those folks is a great way to do that. You can constantly be a brand, you can have brand ads via your traditional placements for these warm audience. For news feeds, you can serve them content from your leadership team or your company across different platforms as well. So that's what I mean about like keeping warm, staying in front of those folks while they're making those decisions on what those next steps are. That's the piece that a lot of folks miss. You got to continue to invest into your warm audiences. And what that means digitally is your remarketing audiences. On LinkedIn, making sure that you're remarketing constantly to people that have come to your website, have visited your company page, are your followers, have engaged with your ads. The other trick with your warm audiences, you can segment them. You don't have to target everybody in your warm audience pool. With LinkedIn, you can tell them exactly the companies that you want to target within your warm audience pool. You can segment by industry, company sizes. So that's kind of the other, especially if you're working with upmarket and mid-market companies or enterprise companies, you want to you want to layer in those other targeting variables to your warm audience, but you want to make sure you stay in front of them. You have brand ads, brand awareness campaigns, and then you have more of content plays along with that as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mention, you get a ton of email, and I've seen that. I've seen Google's trying to work on this by having like an AI inbox to try to. I'm guessing they're going to surface, human conversations, or maybe the conversations from email newsletters you actually open all the time, and try to solve that with AI. I also saw, I saw some VC complaining online about, he gets too much email. And the elegant solution for me, by the way, is I made a separate email address that I just don't give out on the internet. And I just give that one to friends, to family, to blogs I really want to subscribe to. And then I use something else for everything else. And I found that like the cost of creating a new email address is $0. So it's pretty easy. And if you own your own domains, it's simple to do. So it's funny to me. There's this whole conversation about email. And I saw that just by making a new address and not giving it out is a good way to have it like a nice high signal to noise inbox.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a smart move. What I'm waiting for is the AI agent that'll filter my life and everything. Because it's phone calls, it's text messages, it's WhatsApp messages, emails. Like I'm waiting for that agent to be my filter and proactively give me what I really want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And honestly, we've been the place I get a lot of spam, and my phone does a good job filtering out, but I get a lot of text spam and phone call spam. And the phone call spam, like it just shows spam, but my text spam, like sometimes texts still get through and I just block them. But I was joking with someone else that there's like this asymmetric arms race going on where the spammers are innovating faster than the telecos can set up defense. And that's why like Apple, I have a Google phone, which, they have spam defense, but I think Apple's probably a little bit better at making sure nothing gets through. But it's just, that could be an area where AI just like only lets through like your contacts or whatever. Or like a known phone number, a known company. And, it's kind of sad that we have these nice systems that just get hacked, but I guess it's kind of, inevitable that someone's going to try to exploit systems. So.
Well, it's always going to be a game of whack-a-mole. I kind of view what I do too as game of whack-a-mole with these algorithms. That's the tactical side, right? Like strategically, I know I want to get there. I want to be in the right surface. I want to be in the right placement. The tactical piece is the game of whack-a-mole, right? You're trying to do it better than the next person, so you can have a little bit more surface area. So it's kind of a fun it's kind of a fun game, right? Like it's fun out from that side. I'm on the white hat side, not on the black hat side, causing spam and causing problems for people.
Yeah. So to my opinion, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think a strong brand is probably the best way to get that extra surface area that you're owed. Do you agree with that? Do you think it's something else, just having this really strong loved brand in the world?
Yeah, definitely. I think I like to look at the I don't remember exactly this from school, but there's levels of market sophistication. So this is what I've learned is like when you go into a new into a new area with a new product and you're the first one to do it, people will be like Henry Ford with a car, right? Like it's an obvious, like that makes sense. Like that's just going to make my life 10 times easier. I think even Elon Musk has this thing of you got to be 10 times better. Like he wanted to make the electric cars 10 times better than internal combustion engine cars. So that's the level that you need to be at to have kind of that multiplying, traction for something else. So I think of in terms of those market sophistication levels, and market sophistication level for a lot of things now is the barrier to entry is lowering today. So it's becoming very easy to say, I do this and I do that. So market barriers to a lot of industries is lowering. And the next level is kind of going into the brand, the deeper into the value prop, into the benefits. So definitely it's becoming it's definitely very important, and you want to distinguish yourself. There's just so much competition out there that looks the same, and you kind of just, your eyes kind of just gloss over. So the brand is a differentiator, makes the difference. So definitely, yeah, brand is a big piece.
So going fractional is a big career decision. And a lot of people are doing that these days, not just in marketing, but there's like the rise of the fractional CFO and the rise of, the fractional chief of staff or whatnot for startups. What made you make that decision? And I guess, what would you say to other people, not just in marketing, that are considering being like a fractional executive?
Yeah, I think for me the opportunity was right, and the time was right as well. I think it's a lot more easier today to manage manage a lot more work. The leverage that I have today compared to even a few years ago is just such more in depth, and I can go deeper. But also then the requirements of businesses are a little bit less for the role as well, right? So what happened with me was there was Mutiny had a layoff. They had in my last role, they had a pivot, and this happens regularly. I've seen this kind of pick up over the last years, especially at the stage of business that I'm at. Companies haven't figured out a lot of pieces to their business, so they have pivots. So that's kind of what happened in my last role, and I kind of saw the opportunity to go That's where I saw the opportunity to go fractional. I see a lot of new businesses coming online, a lot of interesting businesses. And I think I'm fractional kind of for the time being. I'm still figuring out what I want to do for the longer term. I might be open to in-house if the opportunity is right. But it's also a lot of fun working with different businesses and different industries and getting that experience. And I love to kind of help put the puzzle together on a company going from 0 to 1 and then 1 to 10. Those are very different stages of a company, and very different pieces to it. And that's being able to do that across a variety of different businesses is just a lot of fun for me. Enjoying that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so, Karl, do you also want to go into an overview of you're building Ampy to solve B2B distribution? Do you want to tell us what the core problem you're solving and a little bit about the product?
Yeah. So Ampy, it's an extension of my fractional business, and Ampy is more of the way I work today. So over the last couple of years, over the last couple of months, even things have been evolving a lot, and I kind of realized that the way I started working with clients was creating mission controls. So I'll create to get leverage and be more efficient at my work. Having 10 tabs open is not helpful across many different clients, multiplies the effect. So for me, what Ampy is, it's building my own, it's building my own mission controls for my work. And for me, I think that's the way folks are going to work in the future. So that's what I'm kind of focused on, is vibe coding my own mission control with everything that I need there. And then also laying an AI agent on top of some of those tasks, depending on kind of the workflow that needs to get done. So it's a little bit of an extension of how I work today and building out custom solutions.
Very cool. Well, Karl, can you tell our listeners where they should go to connect with you regarding, it sounds like fractional work, Ampy, as well as potentially even hire you one day to work at their company?
Yeah. Come find me on LinkedIn, Karl Newlin. Just look for me, follow me, connect with me. Always open to good conversation about figuring out how to go from 0 to 1 and 1 to 10, scaling go-to-markets, inbounds.
Awesome. Well, Karl, thank you so much for joining us on the show today, and we will see everyone again next week.
Appreciate you having me, Adam.